My name's Janet Thomas, and I lead the 40 Days for Life in Cardiff. It's different from many places where you can see the abortion clinic separately. Our abortion facility is actually in a office block, and there are lots of other businesses there as solicitors, an employment agency, and so on. And so we don't know who's going in and who's actually going for the clinic itself. And also, we have we had anyway, a very vociferous and aggressive opposition who were there nearly all the time that we were there. And they have complained about us to the police, told lies really, saying that we were harassing women, screaming at them and saying nasty things to them and so on. And we, in the end, decided that what we would do would be just to concentrate on the praying. And we would leave any effect we had to the Lord. And we would just say our prayers. That didn't stop them carrying on telling the lies about us. But it actually rebounded against them because they complained to the police. And the local police inspector actually came down and investigated for himself, because he came and told us. This was last year, 2016, he told us. He'd come and checked up on what we were doing, and he said, whenever I come down, different times of the week, different times of the day, he said, you are always doing what you say you're doing, you are praying. And he said, I noticed some of your members even are kneeling on the pavement. He was most impressed by that. And as a result of that, this year, we actually had a police presence on the street guarding us from the worst of the opposition. So they got rather bored because they were allowed to stand on the other side of the road, but they weren't allowed to come and attack us and so on. But the most memorable thing that happened 3 years ago now, it had been a really chaotic vigil. The man who was holding the banner had been mugged, and he had stolen our banners and thrown them into the river. And very few people turned up, and all in all, it hadn't been what you might say a success. And I hadn't been very well either myself, so I hadn't been there as often. But anyway, he asked me if I would do the last week of the vigil, because he was Polish and he was going home. He had a good deal on the plane. So anyway, we were standing there, and we were always being harassed by the opposition. Shame on you and you're vile people and things like that. They didn't actually attack us, but there weren't many of us to attack anyway. And this was the last Saturday. It was raining. There were 3 of us, and one of us was not a Christian, so he was just holding the banner, and just 2 of us were praying. And I was thinking to myself, what good are we doing? Because the clinic wasn't open, so there was nobody to influence. We were just standing there. And I thought to myself, I think maybe I won't turn up tomorrow. Very few people will come, and so that's what I thought to myself. And just at that moment, one of the women who was attacking us said, she was telling us why we should be ashamed of ourselves. And she said, and these are her words, seared on my brain, your very presence on the street, she said, is causing women to ring up and cancel their appointments. And girls are crying in the lifts and running away and not having their abortions. And I thought, is that a message from God telling us that though we think that what we're doing is a waste of time, actually we have saved some lives? And so this year we have decided that it's not for us to decide whether we have saved any lives, whether we have deterred any people. That's not our business. Our business is to be there being a witness, hoping that what we are doing will deter some women, and God will see to it that he does. And anyway, we've also helped women who have had abortions, and they come and they are suffering. And so we are able to help them and put them in touch with people who will counsel them. And we think that that is worth doing, and we are a witness. And people stopped by, and we had this most wonderful preacher from Cameroon, actually. And my husband and I did voluntary service in Cameroon, and we got married there. And so when we met him, we were able to speak about where he came from. And he was a wonderful man. And he kept saying he was going to come, but then he didn't come until the last day of the vigil this year in 2017. And when he came, he preached. Have you ever heard a street preacher? His voice was louder than the megaphone of the other side. And he preached to them about a pro-life. He sang, "How Great Thou Art." He was wonderful. And just for once, there were more of us than them. And everybody said it was a wonderful end to the vigil, and they felt that they'd been at a party. And so I think it gave us hope, and that maybe this year, or this coming year, when we do it again, that we'll have people who will come having heard that we, had a good time. Because, funnily enough, people don't like to come and be shouted at. But now we've got something better than that. We can, and also, because of the presence on the street, we didn't have many people shouting at us this time. So all in all, things are looking up in Cardiff.